and break down the way that I see it and the way that I teach it, which is truly about tapping into your personal power. So it doesn't matter where you live in the world, it doesn't matter what your background is, each of us have this special energy inside. And so today we're going to talk a little bit, we have about 15 minutes together, about what is confidence and how do you access it. So I do see the slides, which is great, that's me. And it's again such a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited for the opportunity to collaborate with Empower Women and UN Women. So I think we can probably get started now that we've got the slides working, because I am seeing it like you are. And I want to talk a little bit about, just start off by saying, where does confidence really come from? Where does confidence come from? So I've got a little question that I want to pose to everybody, and you can feel free to advance the slide here. And if you want to, chime in on your answers in the chat box, and I'll be able to see that. But I have a question. Does confidence come from other people? Do you get excited when someone mentions that you did a great job? Does it come from other people? Does it come from your environment, outside people? Does it come from your work environment? Does it come from your experiences, maybe great things that you did and you accomplished? Or does it come from all of the above? I'm just wondering, does anybody have any thoughts about that? This idea that you become confident because of the people and the experiences and the things that you have done, these outside things. This is where this is sort of the crux of it for me. Because for me, I believe that confidence, it's all of those things, but all of those other things, people, the places, the experiences you have, those are a little bit outside of you. And for me, confidence is an energy. It's something that you actually already have because it's inside of you. For me, the way that I visualize this energy is light. Now this light, it's almost, the way that I picture it, this light is almost emanating from, it's coming from the center of your body. And this energy that you were born with, that everyone is born with, is something that you can absolutely connect with because you were born with this light. You were born with this energy. So before I go any further, I really want to take you through an exercise so that you can take a moment and connect with that energy. Just connect with it very, very, very quickly and very gently. So wherever you are, if it's safe for you to do so, I want you to stop and close your eyes. And I'm going to just take you through a little quick visualization. So close your eyes for a minute, get very comfortable in the chair that you're sitting in, as you're probably sitting, and I want you to breathe. Just breathe, and just get very present in your body right now. Just take some slow, deep breaths, and just scan through your body, trying to release any tension. This is the amazing thing. We are individuals all over the world, just taking a moment to get really present in our bodies. Now, as you do, I want you to gently take your right hand and place it just over the center of your chest, near your heart center. So just top of your chest, gently place your hand over your heart and breathe. Now connect mentally with that area in the center of your chest. There's sort of a special area here. If you want, you can even do a little brief exercise where you hum, and where there's a special vibration, you can connect with that energy. You can connect with that feeling. This is the seat of where that light is coming from. Now I want you to imagine that there is a light inside of you around this area where you placed your hand. And I want you to see that light. Just send it some energy. Just picture it. It can be any color you wish. It can be gold, blue, green. Just slowly connect with this light energy and breathe. Now, as you picture it, allow it to grow just a little bit. Allow it to just expand just a little bit, and sending that light pulsating through your body. Slowly, slowly, just allowing it to spread through your body. Where there is tension, this light is going to help release that tension. Where there is doubt, this light is going to free up some of that doubt. It's going to make you feel safe, make you feel great. Now release your hand from your chest and just slowly bring yourself back into the present space, just back into the room. And gently flutter your eyes open. Just bring them open and bring yourself back. So this is just a little bit of an awareness of this energy and this connection. So now if in fact you have this energy, this light that's inside of you, why can't you access it all the time? It's a little bit like your superpower strength, but somehow you can't access it all the time. You can't feel it all the time. You can't remember how powerful and how great you are all the time. And the sort of awareness of that, why you can't access it, is just one reason, and it's fear. Fear blocks us. Fear convinces us that we cannot reach our goals, that we cannot do the thing that we want to do, that we cannot figure it out. So this is this battle that we have inside of us between this fear and this strength, this fear and this confidence. But I will remind you that you were actually born with the confidence. It's all, you already have it. Nothing, no one can give it to you. You have it already. But here we are in life, and I think this picture that you're seeing right now really sums it up. Where sometimes life, because of the obstacles that we are facing, real obstacles that we are facing in our life, in our work, in our day-to-day experiences, make us feel inside that we are just alone in a vast sea of nothingness, not able to really get as much tools, strength, and energy that we need to make our dreams a reality. This is, for me, what it feels like sometimes. So the trick is, how do we activate that light so that we can tap into the confidence that we already have? Now, this one little simple gesture begins with a decision. It's a decision that you can make that you are going to reconnect to your light. Now, to that end, I have a little exercise, a little gesture that is going to help you remember what you already have. And that is, in those moments of doubt, which we're all going to have because that's part of life, I want you to lift up your right hand, put it over your heart center, the center of your body, and I want you to say, connect. Just say, connect. Now, in this small gesture, you are actually activating that energy, or activating that light. And I know for many people listening, you're going to think, what is this crazy actress from California, which is where I live, what is she talking about? How does this work? But I bet each of you can picture a time when you were afraid, and somehow inside of you, you knew that you had the strength to keep going, to say yes when someone said no to you. You had the ability to switch that negative thought, that defeating thought, to something that empowered you, to figure it out, to ask for help. That's how it works. But this is a way for you to physically remind yourself of the power that you have inside of you. It's actually quite powerful. And the more that you do this, the more that you connect with that light, the light is actually going to grow. That is this energy, and for me, you know, many times people ask me about that it factor. Here in the U.S., people say, you know, when they see celebrities or they see people who are really just shining brightly, they have this it factor. All it is, what that it is someone's ability to let their light shine. And there's a saying that, you know, some people, they just light up a room. It is a person, and it's not what they look like, it's not their job, it's not the clothes that they're wearing. It's the fact that they do not have the fearful thoughts that are holding them back. They have somehow released that, and they're showing up comfortable in their own skin, warm, positive, engaging, looking at others. That is the business of shining. That is the business of letting your light shine. So how can you activate your confidence? And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the fuel of confidence. To me, this light is that fuel. But you can activate it, meaning you can put it in practice in everyday life when you stop, when you're having a negative thought, when you're having a challenge, when you are feeling like, I cannot do this, I cannot figure it out, I cannot go on. That's the moment that you need to stop. Stop the fear conversation inside of you, and you need to switch it. Switch it to something positive. You need to, on the third point here, is that you need to then take your hand, especially if you're needing just that physical reminder of your personal power. Putting your hand over your heart and saying connect. Stop the negative thought, switch it to something positive, and then connect to your energy. Connect to your power. Connect to your light. So fundamentally, in life, what does this look like? As a tool in life, you are simply building up the muscle, building up the habit from going to a place that says, I can't, to I can. There are all kinds of tactics to make this show up in your life. Maybe, making small, brave steps towards a goal, towards writing down your fears so that they get out of your head and onto paper. But the idea behind it, when you are living and activating your confidence, is understanding that inside of you, despite the obstacles, you can go from I can't to I can. And I think that that's really what we're going to be talking about, especially in the question and answer session later on, which is what are the ways, the tools that this shows up in real situations. Because when you slowly build your confidence from I can't to I can, you are this being of light. So that everywhere you go, you are helping other people overcome their own fears. You are showing them by your example how to be more positive, how to empower one another, how to go through life with confidence, how to do it in a feminine way. That's how this works. But it starts, in my opinion, with really connecting to the light that you were born with. That's the great news. You already have it. Now, I wanted to sort of wrap up my section here with sharing a wonderful quote by an American author by the name of Marianne Williamson. She wrote this in her book, A Return to Love. And I want to read it to you now. It goes, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, isn't that amazing? When you are overcoming your fear, when you are tapping into your confidence, even just a little bit, you are helping other people do the same. And as women, we must do that for one another. We must be the example that we want to see in the world. So if there is a tendency for people to come together and be frustrated and say, and get angry about obstacles that they're facing, what is actually more powerful is looking inside and saying, okay, how can we make a positive change right now? For people that I work with that are afraid to look people in the eye, that idea, I'm too shy, I just can't look people in the eye. The minute you just say, you stop the negative thought and say, yes, I can. 2, you switch it to something more positive. My connection is helping people. It's a positive thought about the benefit of looking someone in the eye. And then being able to just take one small, brave step, that is how you fuel your confidence. Recognizing it, taking small, brave steps, that's how you build that muscle. And as you are confronted with your fear, hesitation, any obstacle, that's exactly what you do. And admittedly, there are obstacles that are going to appear in life. It's just part of life. Life would actually be very boring if you didn't have obstacles. But as we face them, this is our work, is to do it with bravery, compassion, and a positive energy. And it will be much, much easier. So I look forward to hearing your questions at the end of the webinar so that we can talk about how this really shows up in everyday life and how you can apply it. Lastly, and we'll talk about this later, I thank you again for giving me the opportunity to connect with you. It's amazing to connect with women all over the world. And I do have a free class that if you want to check out how to really tap into gratitude, you can find it here at alexafischer.com/rockyourgratitude. So thanks, and I look forward to speaking with you at the end of the webinar.
Thank you so much, Alexa. This is an exciting experience to go through, and when you talk us through and how to tap into our confidence. While you were speaking, a few of our participants were making some notes, not particular questions. We'll take the Q&A later. But there was some reflection in terms of your first slide on where does the confidence come from? Other people, your environment, your experience, all of the above. And I think we heard from many of the participants that they felt it was all of the above. And we also had Catherine that says that it comes from a feeling of sense of self-assurance, which is the result of 4 areas covered by the questions. And then we had an interesting comment from Jessie that you can actually access it for quite long periods, going into deep meditation and then go about your life without coming out of the meditation. So there has been some interesting reflection as you've been speaking, and people have really tapped into your knowledge in this area.
Great, wonderful.
Yes. So I'm sure we'll have an exciting experience discussing with you a little bit later. But before we do that, we will allow Mpume to also give some on-the-ground work that she's doing with young women in the culinary industry. So Mpume, no further ado, I'd like to give you the microphone.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in the discussion. And I would first like to say thank you to UN Women's Empower Women and Mara Foundation for the opportunity to share my experiences in my industry, which I suppose could be quite similar to other industries that we experience as women. Moving on to the slide, Anna. I guess what I'm sharing with you, you experience as a woman when you get into the workspace where women are made to feel inadequate. And part of this is because in the past, women were given limited power. And that in itself leads you to feel less confident because you think you're not getting that powerful position, you're not the leader because you're not good enough. And that attacks your confidence. That led to also, when you talk about the confidence coming from within, that is actually squashed because women are shielded from realizing their true power. And part of this, people do fear women that are powerful and confident. As we'll get on to the next slide, you'll understand why. Nowadays, we are seeing that meaningful positions of decision-making are given to women, and you're starting to see a lot of women with confidence, women that we now look up to and say, I want to be like that lady, or when I get to that age, I want to have achieved as much as that lady would have achieved. And that's because those opportunities are being opened. So women are able to look inside themselves, find that strength, find that power, find that confidence, and take on the positions, and they're doing really well. So part of this in my company at Africa Meets Europe Cuisine, I work mainly with young women. I do work with young men as well, because I feel they need to be brought into this to understand that empowering women is not an attack on men. So they need to be part of this movement. So young women just need to be taught about confidence through mentorship. And it's little things. I mean, you work with young girls who don't have mothers at home and you don't even know. So there is not that feminine face that the young girl looks up to. And therefore, she doesn't know how to go through life looking at examples of somebody that has led before her in her personal space. Therefore, when she goes to work, she needs to see those kind of women. And one of the things that I do during my events, I allocate decision-making roles to young girls. And these are very meaningful positions such as menu costing, purchasing, hosting international chefs, which comes with a lot of pressure, partnering with them during cooking demonstrations, which also is a lot of pressure. But at the same time, it's exposure. And if they are there with a world-renowned chef, and they're the assistant chef, it starts from there. They learn how to deal with crowds. They learn how not to forget moving from one step to the next. And in a few months or to a year, depending how quickly they learn, you find that these girls can actually stand on their own and perform their own cooking demonstrations. They need platforms and mentorship to nurture the confidence so that they know they can achieve, because much as we talk about fear, we always asking ourselves, am I going to be able to do that? I remember when I was asked to go and cook in France, I thought, oh my gosh, the French are the best cooks. How am I going to cook my food and think the French are going to think it means anything, or is it tasty as their food? But I just had to find it in me to say, hey, my food is good. I am trained. I'm a professional. I must just go, get to France and cook. And it went very well because I had to find that strength. You continue to ask yourself questions from time to time as you are exposed to bigger and bigger platforms. Then you start thinking, am I going to be able to do this? But you just need to find that within you to say, no, I can do it. And the only way you'll know is actually to do it. I use a similar technique with women farmers. What I try and do is not to take over. So I take them with me, introduce them to the chefs to say, chefs, you don't have to wonder where you're going to find your small-scale farmers that are supplying you fresh produce that are within your space. And while I'm there, I sort of take a back seat and let the woman farmer talk about her product. And it took 1 or 2 meetings with young Mapaseka, and she got used to, I can actually sell what I'm growing. So 1 day a week, I don't just have to be in the gardens getting my hands dirty. I'm also a business person, so I can go and sell what I'm growing. And to see the look in their faces when they get the recognition, when the restaurateur starts to buy from them, when they see what kind of dishes are prepared from what they're growing, it gives them immense pleasure, but at the same time, it gives them the confidence that they know what they're doing and they can grow from it. So moving on to the next one there, Anna. Have you got the next one? Okay, we're there. Okay. A woman who's empowered is often told she thinks she's better than others, and somehow this happens just even in the space of other women, kind of wanting to attack a woman's confidence. This always makes women feel they need to be less, they need to feel less than men without attacking men yet again. They're called words such as they're arrogant, and a man who's confident is always called a leader. So women need to check out that balance as well of arrogance, which is unmerited and inward focused, and work on that positive state of mind of being confident but sharing their assertiveness without belittling the people that work below them, their subordinates, their young chefs, even their young girls at home. Don't ever let them feel that they're small in working out your confidence. Young women also need to be taught how to take on roles. And this happens through working with them, taking their hands. I mean, one of the things I do when we get interviews on television for cooking shows, I take the young girls and give them the stage, because more often than not, we say we are mentoring them, but we take up the front stage. So last year, we made sure that the girls were on TV. We take the backstage. They talk about what brought them into the industry. And as they do that, they do what we can't do. They inspire other young girls to get onto the stage. So in closing, mine is very short because I think we need more questions and interaction as we talk about how to lead and groom other women in the space that you're in. I would like to say that confidence is part of the holistic tools that pave the way to success, because it can't be just one tool. You need to have the confidence. You may have the education. If you don't have the confidence, you won't be able to get through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mpume. I think this was great. It was a great connection between the two presentations, and a few people have actually commented on that, and how you both complemented each other. So I'm going back to that second slide of Alexa and thinking about what you talked about, Mpume, that what you, Alexa, had proposed that your experiences as one of the options leads to confidence. But what you are doing with these young women in South Africa is giving them the exposure to have those experiences and to have the positive exposure. So it's really amazing, both with the women farmers and the young women chefs. And also you talked about how the role models really play a role, and that was also another option of Alexa, of the other people that influence. And we want to put this positive spin and not let the negative environment influence our young girls and young women, and all of us for that matter, but really to give them those positive exposure, positive experience, positive role models, and how that can help them to really build their confidence. And I hope, Alexa, when in the Q&A you also have a chance to talk a little bit about this. Is there a right or wrong on these 4 options? And maybe also related a little bit to what Mpume spoke about here. We have brilliant comments from our participants. And again, we have Jesse saying that there is a need to be confident about the work of making things whole in a world all about taking advantage of others. And a key, Sharon is saying a key distinction is making sure that our confidence is not dependent upon external approval. That is not true confidence. That is where the self-acceptance awareness comes into play. So thanks, Sharon, for those comments. So I think, would you like any of you say anything before we start the question and answer session?
I would love to just tell Mpume how excited and thrilled I am about the work that she's doing. It really is so powerful to actually take this idea and put it into action and empower these young women, and especially these women farmers as well. And I think that you can't underestimate the power and the generosity of individuals like yourself, Mpume, that takes action. And to be that example it's really a gift that's going to keep giving. And I think that's it's just beautiful. It's fantastic. And I think for people who are listening right now, this idea that to be positive and to be generous and to look for ways to empower yourselves and others can start at any level. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, that you're a part of this amazing program, or maybe you haven't found your mentor yet. But if you are making those small adjustments within the people that are around you, telling a friend and giving her positive feedback, or being kind to someone, all of this helps attract more positive experiences to you. But anyway, I just wanted to say how impressed I was, and how I applaud your work.
Thank you, Alexa. So,
Sure.
We have two questions. I think the first question is Mpume from South Africa? Yes, you can talk a little bit maybe where you're based, Mpume, when it's your turn to respond to the questions.
Okay.
The second one is, are our weaknesses preventing us from being confident? So I will take a few questions. Because they're quickly coming in here, and there might be some that links to each other that you can respond to them. Shido is saying, Mpume, you are doing a great job. You're doing something mentors or something, sometimes forgetting to do, stepping back and letting the mentees get in front to build confidence. So that was more of a comment than a question. Sheila Crook is saying, although confidence comes from within our central core energy, we can do much to fuel this energy by empowering others. Thanks for bringing these two abstract and practical concepts together. We have Dossi, I think from Togo. Religious and tradition, culture, and earlier violence against girls isn't a handicap to women's confidence? That was a question. Asking if those elements of religion, traditions, culture, and experiencing violence could potentially be a handicap to women's, or an obstacle to women's confidence. And Sarah is also talking about the great job, Mpume, you're doing in Africa, empowering young people. It is very nice to hear what she is doing. And wishing you all the best. Interesting. Kasum. Kasum is from West Africa, and he's asking, women from English-speaking countries are more confident than those coming from French-speaking ones. What do you think? Yes, that was an interesting Kasum has good reflections on the, and we're always very apologetic that we don't have these sessions in French. But we hope, Kasum, in 2016 will give you more opportunities also that we bring in speakers that will speak French. What would be, so here's Dose again, what would be the role of family education in the confidence promotion in girls and women? And Kasum is also raising the point of the question of education is the basic to make young women more confident. So I'll leave it at that now. I think you have a lot to build on. And I saw there was a few people that have raised their hands, so we give them an opportunity in a little bit as well to speak. If you raise your hand, you can speak as well. But do you want to start, Alexa, in reflecting on some of these points that were made?
Sure.
And then I will ask Mpume to continue.
Sure. I think your last comment or question really nailed it, which is about education and visibility. So just the example today where we're talking about hosting a webinar and bringing people from literally on other sides of the planet together to talk about this issue and talk about tools, practical tools that people can use. Now, I do believe that there are certainly obstacles that can be influenced by religion, violence against women, the experiences. So there is absolutely, we can't ignore that. But that, to me, is a call for even more education, more connection, more support. And because of the internet and because of mobile devices, we can now share our message and our work in a way that wasn't possible before. And so as people who, or as women who are committed to empowering other women, it was one of the reasons why I decided to create a platform which has content both in the form of courses and classes and videos, so that I could simply share my work and my message on a much bigger scale. And I think that is important for individuals who maybe they do not have access to great mentorship, and who can be proactive about their own education. So if they have a question, if they want to do the work, there are resources more and more that they can connect with. There was a question that you started out with, which was about, are your weaknesses your obstacles? And I think that if you can understand that your weaknesses or your perceived weaknesses are actually your best gift, because they're the areas that say internally, okay, this is what I want to work on. This is where I am feeling that I can't. So let's try to go find the tools, education, to learn how to do it just a little bit better. And so I think that's a real part of it, that women all over, individuals and men, can empower themselves by being proactive, by seeking out that knowledge, which fortunately is more available today because of the internet.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Mpume, any reflections on these comments and questions? Mpume, maybe you're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you to Alexia. I did your exercise 2 days ago, and I did it with you just now. And that's actually a quick and very helpful way, I suppose, that people could use before they go on stage and speak or do something that they fear, just to get themselves going. I am based in Johannesburg. I think somebody asked where I'm based in South Africa. I'm based in Johannesburg, but I do work a lot with the Durban and Greater KwaZulu-Natal area because I'm from there originally. And then getting to the question of culture and religion, I think that has a lot to do with family education, where families can play a role of ensuring that they do not use religion or culture to really pull down their girls. And for me, specifically, the fathers have a bigger role to play in that because they're the pillars in the homes, and that's how it's been and that's how it still is, though things are changing. And an example of that is growing up, I mean, back in the whenevers, my father used to do homework with me. It wasn't the mother's job to do homework with me. The way he treated my mother in front of us as a family, it taught me that as a woman, I would expect nothing less than what my father does for my mother. And also just speaking to your girls as a man and as a father about the value of the girl. I mean, one of the things he used to talk about was no dowry could ever equate to the value that I am as his daughter, such that he would say if a man walked into his home and wanted to marry me, he would tell him there's no money you could pay me that could equate the value of my daughter. And I think those are all the things that need to be taught, where people, because people do abuse culture and people do abuse religion in order to just abuse people or get people to feel small and tell them their role is insignificant and whatever it is that is taught out there. I think all of that can be corrected in the family education, how the children are brought up, what the fathers actually contribute while bringing up their children. I don't know if there's anything that I've missed, Anna?
I think that's good. Thank you. I think we have covered, both Alexa and you have covered all of the questions so far. So I would ask, Kenita has raised her hand, so I assume that you would like me to unlock your microphone and you can say a few words. Kenita? Doesn't seem to be there. Let's try with Larato, has also raised the hand. The microphone is open. Larato? Okay, so unless I see anybody else raising their hands, I will move on to the written questions. I see actually Joanna Meija. Johanna, would you like to say something? Your microphone is open. Not sure there's the technical issues. We have one more that I will try before we go on to the written question. Teresa. Teresa, your microphone is open. Teresa? Okay, so we'll move on with the written question. I saw there was something from Rona. What is the best advice you can give to mentors to help mentees grow in confidence? Kasum has another question that also links women coming from Muslim or non-Muslim countries, if there is a difference in confidence levels. Then we have a few more comments about education, but I think you tackled that, Alexa, already. Anamika is saying that negative environment affects the confidence of women. How can it be tackled? How can we tackle the negative environment? And I think you, Mpume, tackled it, talked a little bit about it already, but Alexa, if you would also like to reflect on this, it's an opportunity to do so.
Sure, I think, oh, I don't know, would you like me to answer that now?
No, let me run through a few more questions because it seems that they're very interlinked.
Okay.
And there are a whole bunch of them. So we are running 10 minutes left. So I just want to make sure that everybody's views are being heard here. How does one deal with the stigma of being from a part of the country where education has been at an all-time low and compete in a male-dominated industry, such as agriculture? Then there's a comment from Sharon. I agree that confidence comes from empowering others too. This is probably more true for women. The same is true for advocacy. We often find the confidence to advocate for ourselves as a consequence of advocating for others. Kasum would like to know, and maybe Shriyan, you can talk about that later in your wrap-up. How can I become a Mara mentor, and specifically for women who speak French? And he also would like to know, Alexa, if you have any of your resources in French. And Kasum also would like to be in touch with you. He often comes to the University of Johannesburg. Then there's a question, Menatala is asking, how could I stop the fear conversations inside me before presenting in front of others? Mm. So this is specifically for Alexa. When you do presentations in front of large audiences, how do you tackle this fear, and how do you tap into that light that you were talking about earlier? Let's see, we have a few more. The challenge is when this is absent, when a girl sees the father diminish her mother or the father is absent. So this is in contrast, Mpume, you had a good experience. How can we deal with this when the experience from the home is not that great and the father is not a good role model? There's another question from Kasum. Alexa, I think developing public speaking for women can help them develop their self-confidence. also giving them the choice to do what they really want to do. What do you think? And the final one is, what are the key points we must keep in mind before speaking on stage? So it seemed to be a common thread here about speaking in front of large audiences. And in our champion program, Empower Women's Champion program, we will, in January, hope to have a session where people can also practice their speaking skills and to be able to train that, tapping into the confidence. But let me open it up to you, Alexa, first, and then Mpume.
Sure, thank you. There's so many great questions, and I wanted to really tap on this idea of negativity. And in so many ways, it really comes to who you surround yourself with. And Mpume had an amazing father who really was a wonderful example for her. And if you are in a situation where you do not have that within your family or your immediate surroundings, this is the time that I encourage you to find those individuals that are going to be the example for you. They may eventually become actual mentors for you, but this idea that you can learn from the people that you surround yourself with, and if you are in an environment that is overwhelmingly negative, it begins with you, how you take that on and how you internalize it. So I'm not going to lie, it is a very intentional work. It is something that you have to be very proactive with. This idea of connecting to that energy absolutely is the first step, but it's also making sure that you are as positive as you can be. You are proactive, meaning taking steps to find individuals that you are in touch with, to ask them questions, to get curious, to look for resources, to look for people that are warm and kind and who are maybe working in a job that you are interested in. For mentors, the responsibility then lies in also seeing your role as someone who can be that example, who can be the one that reaches out to individuals who are looking to grow. And so I think there's a bit of a dance there, but this idea to confront negativity, any negativity, it really begins with this intention and the mindfulness of what is in your world. And are you going to succumb to the fear, or are you going to intentionally look for something more positive? Speaking from the stage, that I probably won't have time to address, but I'm very, 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 very passionate about that. And it's true, as you overcome that fear, and most of that has to do with preparation. So again, this idea of being intentional. What do you want to say? Doing the necessary work to prepare your words, whether it's on stage or an important conversation with a potential mentor. Knowing what you want to say in advance, having that good energy, that's actually most of the work right there. Connecting to that energy, preparing what you want to say, and then taking that action to actually connect, that's most of the work, whether you're doing it on stage or in person. So so we can address that hopefully in an upcoming webinar. And there's also, by the way, lots of resources on my own website.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Mpume, any reflections on these comments and questions?
Yes, Anna. Talking about the stigma of lack of education, or maybe not so good quality, and agriculture. I think it's looking around people who have a common interest with you, because how I also just tapped into agriculture, I was just reading up, wanting to know where can I connect with farmers that will supply me with what I need. And I just found that there was an international conference that was happening, and I just bulldozed my way saying, I'm a chef, but I want to be enrolled to attend this conference because I need to connect with these farmers. So you kind of need to look around, read up a lot. If it's on radio, your local community station, get in touch with those people, because once you have people that share the common interest as you will find that some of the things that you're battling with, there's someone who's gone through that and they can assist you and walk you through to get to where they are. And to consume, yes, my details are on my website, www.africameetseurope.co.za. You can Send me an email when you come to Johannesburg, and anyone else who comes to Johannesburg and would like to see our projects and maybe even taste our food when they're in Johannesburg. And there was somebody that spoke about an absent father, or maybe a father that's not a good role model. Much as I was very fortunate to have such a wonderful father, as life would have it, he passed on when I was very young, barely a teenager. So going through life, yes, he had equipped me, but then he wasn't there for the rest of the time. So it's also finding mentors, as Alexia mentioned, looking around your community. It could be church, it could be other community-based organizations, and just looking around and finding people that are positive, people that are doing good work. But a lot of it also does come from reading books. Read about positive people, things that they've done that are positive. I mean, one of the books that we've been fortunate to read and have here in South Africa is a book called By the Sisulus in Their Lifetime. And that talks about the love that withstood the hardship, the support system that they provided for each other. And we watched that couple support each other. And for me, that's a positive. Even as a grown woman, it makes me see that this kind of positive, loving environment and support system does exist. So it makes you want to thrive towards that. So do up a lot of reading. I mean, it can be even books in your own language. They don't have to be foreign books. It could be books in your own language, and you read up. And I think once you find, even if you've never met these people, if you read about their lives, you read about what they've been through, and you find out what they did when they had when they faced hardship, it does encourage you, and you know there's someone out there who's going through or has gone through what you've gone through, and they got by. And I think that was it from the questions from my side. Anna?
Yes, thank you so much. That was excellent. I can't wait to go to Johannesburg and taste your food.
Me too.
I think what you talked about in Mpume was something that Alexa and I discussed the other day, the importance of looking around you. There are so many opportunities out there. You just need to be going in life with open eyes and really see what the opportunities are to also help you get exposure and to have those opportunities. You also talked about the struggles and this storytelling. We have on Empower Women a great collection of over 300 stories from women and men in basically, I think, more than 100 countries, where they speak about their take on women's economic empowerment and how they have gone through those challenges. We have our iLearn platform, and we have our blog, and these are really amazing. You read them and you feel like if they can do it, I can do it. So I think this with role models and reading is very, very important. So thank you so much for that. I think our time is up. So I would like to just give you any final thoughts, and then Shriyan, we will wrap up the webinar. There was just one recommendation from Catherine that is proposing that people who would like to practice their speaking skills can join the Toastmasters in the countries to gain that kind of experience, which is a small group settings where you can train on speaking skills. So Alexa, any final thoughts before I hand over to Shriyan?
No, I think my final thought would be for women to stay curious and be proactive. I love your last comments about reading and connecting with other people and getting very, very inspired. And I think that one of the greatest things about the internet and about this platform in particular is that this power of connection, and that there are women who are out there committed to helping other women. And that's very exciting. So thank you very much for having me on the webinar.
Thank you so much, Alexa, for sharing your thoughts and methods with us. Mpume?
Yes, Anna. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I mean, it is always great to hear from other people in different parts of the world, what they're doing, and to meet Alexia and the team from Mara Foundation. I think in closing, just to take on what Maya Angelou once said, which kind of sums up what we're talking about. She said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it." So basically, it's not a promise that things are going to be smooth, and once you've listened to this wonderful webinar and gone through Alexia's exercise, you know, you're just going to be booming. You will still find you have that little bit of fear, but you shouldn't give up. You should keep trying until you get to that level when you know that you're ready to tackle the world, no matter what. Thank you, Anna.
What else can we say now, Mpume and Alexa?
That's perfect.
But you know, it just made me think about one thing. I was in Israel a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and what I learned there is that as an entrepreneur, you actually have more likelihood of getting funded by a bank if you already failed than if this is the first time or you've always been successful in the past. Because failure means that you learn a lesson and that you learn to be stronger and better in the next round. So I totally agree with you. We will wrap up. We have 5 minutes past time, so I will give Shriyan an opportunity to just give some concluding remarks as well and any reflection of the discussion today.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anna. And again, my thanks out to Mpume and Alexa. You're both fantastic. To conclude, I'd just like to sort of reiterate that confidence building and mentorship for women will definitely enable them to feel comfortable and, again, allow them to sort of vocalize their ideas, not just agreeing with their male counterparts and to protect themselves politically. So I think we all need to sort of endeavor on a joint focus to encourage women's empowerment. And it should be at the core of all developmental frameworks. And again, sort of encourage mentorship and collaboration with women to increase their chances of succeeding in business. And if they have mentorship or sort of any platforms or frameworks to help assist them, that'll really drive forward their growth and self-development. And going over to sort of Kusama, you mentioned that obviously you'd like to sort of join onto the Moral Mental platform. Please do so. Or anybody else who has interest can log on at www.mentor.mara.com. We'd appreciate your input, and we don't have many French-speaking mentors, so it'd be a pleasure to have you on board. And again, you'd have the opportunity to even list yourself in your local language. And I mean, for anybody that's interested in mentorship or entrepreneurship, Moral Mentor provides a community for aspiring entrepreneurs and provides resources, including toolkits, content, videos and blogs, and the opportunity to liaise with like-minded people and connect mentors and mentees together. So we believe that we should empower, enable and inspire young and ambitious women entrepreneurs and men globally. So I'd like to take this moment to say thank you once again, and we look forward to the event in 2016.
Thank you so much, Shriyan. I think voice disappeared a little bit towards the end, so we couldn't really hear. So if there was something that you would like to repeat, otherwise, I think we're ready to wrap up. Kasum is all on board to be a mentor in French, so he will connect you by email. So I would like to thank. Yes, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today in this webinar. It's been very exciting. Great questions, great comments from participants, and great interaction with our two speakers. So Alexa and Mpume, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and thank you, Shriyan, for excellent collaboration between Empower Women and UN Women and the Mara Foundation. So thank you so much for today, and we look forward to connecting next year.
Thank you.